Hi, and welcome to the Traveling Fool, the show where we talk about travel destinations and the history and culture around those destinations, along with travel tips and news. Now, last week I talked about how to travel like a local, or how to become a modern-day explorer. Well, this week we're going to expand a little bit on that. Today, we are breaking down one of the most searched travel phrases online, and that is day trips near me. It's searched millions of times each month. People want quick escapes and easy adventures and just simple ways to explore without needing a plane ticket. By just typing those words into Google, it typically gives you the same generic top 10 list that everyone sees. So today we're talking about some real methods, practical tools, digital resources, historical archives, and community sources that help you find truly unique local day trips wherever you live. So whether you want nature, history, food, small towns, back roads, or hidden spots, you'll leave this episode with a system. That's right, a system for uncovering the best nearby adventures. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Now, before we get started, please hit that like or subscribe button. And you can also go onto thetravelingfool.com and sign up for the monthly newsletter. I'll send it out towards the end of every month. It's just got a lot of travel news, travel contests that you can sign up for. And I occasionally put in there a couple of stories about stupid tourists because, well, they're stupid. And I like reading them. I don't use your name or email for anything other than sending out the newsletter. So if you would sign up for that, I appreciate it. Now let's get started. Let's talk about why this search term, day trips near me, is so popular and why it is so massive. Like I said, it's searched millions of times a month. Well, people need easy escapes. Weekends are long. Free time is short for a lot of people. Most people can spare maybe a Saturday or a Sunday. Sometimes you got the whole weekend free, but a day trip gives you that vacation feeling without having to plan or stress. You know, not everyone has time for long vacations. I know everybody likes to look at Instagram and Facebook, all these vacation photos. It's like, oh, it's so beautiful there. If only I could take a 45-day cruise or a 30-day trip to the Amazon forest. Well, not a lot of people can, and not everyone has time for 2, 3, 4-week vacations. So a day trip scratches that itch without ever needing to request paid time off or pack a suitcase. A lot of times we just overlook our own areas. Many people assume that interesting places require long drives or expensive flights. But often the history and natural beauty and culture nearby goes completely unnoticed. Now, I mean, it's human nature. We think the cool stuff is always somewhere else. Meanwhile, locals and tourists just pass each other every day, each chasing what the other one has. I remember telling a guy one time when I was at a tropical beach destination, I said, man, it is so beautiful here. I would love to live here. He goes, I've been here my whole life. I can't wait to get out of this place. So it doesn't matter where you live. You really don't appreciate everything that's around you and near you. And because of that, you overlook a lot of things that the tourists actually come there to see. And it's inexpensive. I mean, local trips can be done on a tank of gas. Many involve free hiking trails or public lands or scenic drives or small town museums. Very low entry prices. Snacks, maybe a small entry fee into something, and you can get a full travel fix without emptying your wallet. It's also beginner friendly. I mean, you don't need to be an experienced traveler. Anybody can plan a day trip. The popularity of this search phrase, it makes sense because here's the kicker now. Google only shows you the most searched not the most interesting. So today, I'm going to show you real-world ways to find awesome day trips beyond just the obvious. And I know, like with other podcasts, you're probably doing something else while you're listening to this. You might be driving or something. So I'm going to throw a lot of ideas out there, and I'm going to give you a lot of places that you can go to find these day trips. Just know that when the podcast is over, if you go to my website, thetravelingfool.com, the podcast is listed there. You can play it from there also, but it also has a full transcript. So everything I'm going to tell you will be in the transcripts. So here's the first method. Use state, county, and regional tourism sites. Often overlooked as a true resource. People just don't utilize them enough. But it's one of, like I said, it's one of the most overlooked there is. But official tourism websites are operated by the states, the counties, the small towns. Sometimes they're regional. These websites often contain more current, specialized, and accurate information than any of the big travel sites. And a lot of times it never makes it onto Google. I mean, the site itself may be on there, but every time they do an update, it may not make it onto Google. Or if it does, it's buried on page 45 and you never see it. And they are some of the best resources you're going to find. And here's how they can help. The small counties, they publish events and attractions that Google just doesn't even highlight. A state might have 200 plus counties. I know Texas has 254 counties. And most of them maintain a list of historic plazas, county museums, nature preserves, driving loops, local festival, things that are happening this weekend, things that are happening this month, just a wealth of resources. They also put on there things like seasonal events and independent art galleries and just all kinds of information. Now, the rural areas, they add the local little hidden gems. For example, if somebody was researching destinations in Texas, the official tourism site for a small rural county might list things like a pioneer-era courthouse or a heritage walking trail or a historic cemetery with Civil War or World War II or Korean War veteran markers. It might talk about a monthly community market or a scenic river access point. Now, none of this might appear on the major top 10 travel posts, but it's an excellent day trip material. These sites often include ready-made itineraries. Some will include a 2 to 3 hour driving loop labeled a historic trail tour or historic homes tour or food to farm loop or art and culture day trips. Now, these itineraries are created by the local experts who actually know the area. The first method is one of the most that people never use. It's the local tourism websites. But don't picture the glossy brochures and the little attractions you've seen. You know, when you go into the gas station and you have the little board sitting there and they've got a brochure from every cave and reptile house and everything in the tri-state area. That's not what we're talking about. These are the smaller local sites, the county tourism boards, the regional travel alliances, and the small town visitor centers. Sometimes they're called a Convention and Visitor Bureau, or CVB. These places publish events, seasonal hikes, fairs, festivals, and historic sites that never show up on Google's big lists. So here's how to use it. First, when you do a search your state tourism directory. So I would search Texas tourism directory or Kansas tourism directory or Minnesota tourism directory. Almost every state has their tourism directory online, and when you get on there, they break it down by counties or regions. So click on that. And then explore each county or region's area events calendar. Look for phrases like self-guided or heritage trail or historic walking tours. And by using that method, you'll find 20 to 30 day trip ideas in just under 10 or 15 minutes. It's a really simple tool, really easy way to just do the broad picture, shotgun blast, give me a bunch of ideas. Now, the second method you can use is to explore public lands. These are the national parks, the state parks, and the wildlife refuges. I know Texas has a bunch. I mean, a lot. I know of a couple of national forests and 2 or 3 other national parks and, 100 or so state parks and probably 50 or 60 wildlife refuges just all over the state. And they are one of the best resources for discovering new day trip destinations. To give you an idea, the U.S. has a huge amount of protected land, which includes over 400 National Park Service sites, over 2,500 state parks, almost 580 national wildlife refuges, millions of acres of national forests, and thousands of Army Corps of Engineer recreation sites. And yet most people only visit the really big, well-known sites. I mean, Yellowstone and Yosemite, those are the places they visit. But they don't visit all the rest of these. Half of them never heard of them. But here's what public lands can typically offer you. An auto tour route through a wildlife habitat, scenic overlooks, waterfalls, old logging roads or fire towers, historic settlements and ruins, boardwalk trails, bird watching lookouts, lakeside recreation areas. I mean, it's endless of the things that you can do in these wildlife refuges, national parks, and state parks. So how this becomes a day trip is you search for a national wildlife refuge within an hour of your home, or 2 hours. In Texas, it could be 3 hours. We drive. And you might find a hiking trail loop, a quiet lake for kayaking, or a historic homestead, or a scenic drive. And all of this is usually in one location, and it's usually free, or it doesn't cost you much to get into them. So go to the National Wildlife Refuge Locator. Just Google it, National Wildlife Refuge Locator. Enter in your zip code and look for visitor centers, auto tours, or scenic routes. Pick a part, add a 1 meal stop, and you have a day trip right there. That alone could fill every weekend for a year. I know within, I'm going to lie here, but within a couple of hours drive of Houston, I don't know how many, so I'm probably not lying, but I know of at least 5 national refuges within a 2-hour drive of Houston or a 3-hour drive of Houston. And I would be willing to bet there's closer to 10 or 11 all along the Gulf Coast. Everywhere from Beaumont, Port Arthur. I think Beaumont, Port Arthur has like 3 or 4 alone. And if you get down around Galveston and then around Freeport, if you went down to Port Aransas, there's even more. I mean, they're just everywhere. And beautiful beaches, lots of wildlife, great day trips. I mean, they're everywhere. And then there's state parks and state forests and everything all over the state. So here's another method, the third one. Event aggregator sites. Now, these are places like Eventbrite or Meetup or local calendars and things like that. These sites compile what's happening locally, everything from food festivals to art walks to niche workshops, you name it, you can find one for just about everything. Now, here are some of the best ones. Like I said, all this will be in the transcripts on the website, so all you have to do is look up the transcript. It's right below the player. It lists the entire podcast. The best platforms are Eventbrite, Meetup, Facebook events, believe it or not. There's a site that I've subscribed to, and I put in there what I'm looking for, and it gives me, once a month or once every 2 months, I'll get a little email that says, here's what's happening. It's called 10 Times, the number 10 times.com. And in addition, now their main claim to fame is trade shows and conferences, but in addition to that, they also list festivals and community events. And you can, if you want to subscribe to them, all you got to do is just go to the website 10times.com, tell them what you're looking for, and if it's festivals and community events, sign up for it. And they'll send you an email once every month or two and go, here's what's happening within 150 miles where you live. Another one is Bands in Town, BANDS, Bands in Town. They list concerts and festivals all over the place. And using the name Bands in Town, you would assume a lot of them are music festivals, songwriter festivals, music festivals, or weekend festivals at some location around the state. Another site is local news websites. You go to your local news website, whether it's the television or your local newspaper, and most of them list local events that are happening, especially from like Wednesday on. It'll list the upcoming weekend's events. Small town chambers of commerce. Go to their website and check out the calendars. And they list things on their monthly calendar and their upcoming calendars of what's happening. And some of the things you can find by doing this, if you lived in a mid-sized city, you might discover a heritage festival or a guided nature hike or hands-on crafts workshop or some kind of historic reenactment. I know every year, just on the other side of Houston from where I live in San Jacinto, they do a reenactment from Texas independence. You can get free outdoor concerts. I mean, you might find some of those, or a seasonal farmer's market. Now, these events often take place in areas with restaurants, cafes, historic buildings, and scenic walking paths. So you can combine a bunch of stuff and just make a great day trip or weekend trip out of it. Now, I'm saying a lot of day trips, but if you can stretch it, make it a 2-day trip. But these are also perfect for just a 1-day trip. So how do you use these methods? Well, you search events near me on Eventbrite and sort it by this weekend or this month, and then filter by category, whether it's outdoor, history, food, family events, and then just build a day around the event, 1 or 2 little nearby attractions. And this method works year-round and is especially useful for discovering cultural and community-based events. You're following what's happening, not just what's advertised. Now, the fourth method is libraries, museums, and local historic societies. They offer some of the most unique day trip ideas available, and almost no one thinks to check these websites. These organizations often maintain self-guided walking tours, cemetery history maps, historic district guides, local archives, temporary exhibits, public lectures, genealogy workshops, old photo collections that are tied to real locations around the area. For example, if somebody were researching local history in a Midwestern town, a historic society website might list things like a ghost town driving tour map, or a trail of early settlement sites, or a list of the Civil War markers in the area, a historic mill that's open for tours, or an annual Heritage Day event. These are hyper-local experiences that don't appear on the big tourist websites. Now, how to use this method? You search the county name and the historical society. So if it's, Bell County Historical Society, that's all you got to do. If they have one, it's going to pop up. Go to their website, search for tours, maps, or programs section, and combine a walking tour with a scenic driving tour, and maybe one of the local historic cafes. I say historic cafe because I went to this little town called Victoria in Texas. It's not far from Houston. I was down there on a weekend trip, actually. And Victoria had the distinction of having the oldest delicatessen in Texas, Fossati's Deli. Been around since 1800s. And, I know, if you're listening from, England, you're like, that's not very old, mate. Well, it is for Texas. It's the oldest deli in Texas, and they had great food. So I had to go to the oldest delicatessen in Texas. Now, you can also ask the local tourism office or historic society if there's anyone in particular that you can talk to about a specific interest. I'm big in military history, so you may want to ask for military history or historic buildings. Whatever your interest is. There are groups that have done research and, in a lot of cases, preservation of places like World War II POW camps that were located in the United States. Old settlements from the Spanish and French exploration areas, prehistoric dig sites where you can visit and see ongoing archaeological work being done, old mines. There's just a whole lot more. And these people have the connections. So, method number 5, outdoor history and discovery apps. Apps can uncover places that just never show up on Google's top results. And here are some of the best apps out there. All Trails. All Trails is a hiking app, obviously, and it includes waterfalls, overlooks, ruins, caves. It shows reviews, the difficulty of the path, photos, and it often reveals lesser-known natural sites. Atlas Obscura. It's a website, but they also have an app, and their app highlights unusual and offbeat places. It's great for travelers who like unique stories and little weird, unique sites to look at along the way. Road Trippers, that's another great one. It lets you create a driving loop. And that's, instead of, I use Texas a lot because I'm from Texas. Houston connects with San Antonio on Interstate 10. So instead of driving from Houston to San Antonio and San Antonio back to Houston on Interstate 10, create a loop. Go to San Antonio and then come a different route, a different highway back. And just make one big circle. And it will show attractions along the route. History Pin, PIN, it overlays historic photos on current locations. So it helps you create a history-focused day trip. The REI Hiking Project, it will also give you detailed trail descriptions that are ideal for building a nature-heavy day trip. Geocaching, it used to be big years ago, but it's still a great app because it's a real-world treasure hunt. It takes you to interesting micro-locations and scenic spots and little hidden landmarks. So how to use these apps? You just open up one, turn on the nearby and it searches everything near you and picks up something strange and build a day around it. So if somebody opened up, let's say, Atlas Obscura on their site for their state, they might find things like an unusual roadside sculpture or a preserved one-room schoolhouse or a historic railway tunnel or an abandoned bridge or a geological formation or something just truly weird. Trust me, they have some truly weird stuff on that site. Combine a couple of oddities and a local diner and a scenic drive, and you built in a unique, memorable day. And you'll find places that you never knew existed. Now here's one almost everybody can get behind. A food-focused day trip. It's one of the easiest and most enjoyable ways to build a day trip. Except a day's just not long enough. You got to do a weekend trip for this one. But yes, you can do a day trip. You can search by barbecue trails, coffee roasters or coffee shops, seafood shacks, farm-to-table restaurants, pie shops, local bakeries, ice cream stands, food halls, farmers markets. It's endless. Some examples. Texas has a barbecue trail. Louisiana has a boudin trail. They also have an andouille trail. Georgia has a peach pass. New Mexico has their green chili trail. Kentucky has a bourbon trail. There's wine trails. There's whiskey trails. There's trails for everything out there. And all you have to do is, whatever your interests are, grab one of these trails, pick a theme, whether it's coffee, barbecue, bakeries, whatever, and map out 2 to 4 spots. Add a little scenic stop along the route. End it with a small town museum or a gallery or a park somewhere, and you've got a day trip. So since I'm in Texas, and Texas has barbecue trails, they also have a whiskey trail here, believe it or not, and a wine trail and a couple of others. But let's stick with barbecue because, good God, it's delicious. I could have a barbecue trail in Houston alone. There's probably 45 or 50 really good barbecue restaurants around here. If I extended it out to the surrounding counties, we're talking several hundred. I could do a barbecue trail every weekend of the year and never travel more than 1 or 2 counties away. So it's endless what you can do with these things. All right, here's another method. Scenic byways and back roads. And scenic byways are an underrated treasure for day trip planning. Many people don't even know they exist. I mean, yeah, you can put 2 words together, scenic byway. I'm sure there's a scenic byway somewhere, but there are actual designated scenic byways. There's 150 of them. National Scenic Byway. And hundreds of state-designated scenic routes. Now, these routes often include small historic towns or mountain overlooks or lakeside pull-ups or waterfalls or historic markers or independent restaurants or roadside attractions. There's hundreds of them out there. So how do you find them? Well, go to your state. I don't know, we're picking states. So let's go to Mississippi. Type in Mississippi Scenic Byways, and it's going to pop up and just create a route. Drive the full length of a section of it. Stop at all the markers, the small towns, and the little natural features. And it's simple. It works everywhere. You'll find more day trips along a byway than on any other Google search you could possibly do. And the thing about it is when you're driving on these scenic byways, using their suggestions on where to stop and check out, and you're going, I never knew that existed. You will also discover things on your own just by driving down the road and saying, well, that looks interesting. I think I'll stop there. It doesn't even have to be on the website to look at. You're going to find them yourself. All right, the next method is the Corps of Engineers. They're reservoirs and dams. Many people don't realize how many recreation areas are managed by the Army Corps of Engineers. This includes lakes, picnic areas, boat ramps, nature trails, fishing piers, visitor centers, and scenic overlooks. Now, these locations are usually very affordable. They're not crowded. They're very well maintained, and they're surrounded by nature. Now, for someone planning a peaceful, nature-based day trip, Corps of Engineer areas are excellent options. Plus, many dams have visitor centers with incredible history, whether it's engineering or World War II stories or local legends. And if you have small kids, kids love going out to lakes and fishing and boating and swimming. And it's a great opportunity to get out in nature and not be crowded, not be overrun with a lot of other people. So how do you find these? Just go to you search Army Corps of Engineers lake near me and just pick a recreation site or Army Corps of Engineers recreation sites. near me or in Texas. Just add a nearby town for food and maybe a hike or a viewpoint or a scenic drive along the way, and you got you a day trip right there. I can search Army Corps of Engineer recreation areas in southeast Texas. It's going to come up with, 3 or 4 of them. And I can look at them and go, oh, that's cool. What's the nearest town to that? What's in this town? Let me check out their historic society, see if there's anything cool there. And you're making a day trip out of it. And that's how you kind of build a day trip. So let's recap how you find these day trips near me, that popular search term, without relying on Google's usual suspects. First, local tourism sites. They reveal the hidden gems. Public lands, they give you endless outdoor options. The event aggregators, they show you what's happening right now. Libraries and historical societies provide unique trails and programs. The niche apps, they reveal secret, weird, and wonderful little destinations that you'd never know otherwise. Food trails turn eating into an adventure. Scenic byways, though, they make the journey the destination. But yeah, going back to food trails, I do love a good food trail. Corps of Engineer sites give you the quiet, beautiful escapes. And those little segments right there, using those alone, you can find multiple day trips. So let's put them into a repeatable system. How do you find them? You pick a theme. Nature, history, food, back roads, whatever your theme is. Choose 2 to 3 key stops, like a hike or a historic site or a local restaurant. I like to search the oldest, whatever the oldest is in the area, the oldest building, the oldest restaurant, the oldest whatever, and check it out. Or put in a festival or an event, one small town main street, a scenic overlook. So those are your key stops. Then use an app like Atlas Obscura or All Trails or something to add something unusual and unexpected. And then step 4, you build a loop. Instead of going straight from Houston to San Antonio to Houston, you drive that loop. It feels more like an adventure instead of just going there and coming straight home. You're making an adventure out of it. You're starting from point A, going to point B, C, D, E, F, and G, and winding up back at A. And keep it simple. A day trip should be easy, spontaneous, and fun. You don't really have to overplan these things. You just have to know where to look to find these things. But it doesn't take a lot of planning like it would if you were going on a 2-week or 1-month vacation somewhere. And that pretty much wraps up today's episode of The Traveling Fool. But now you have 8 powerful methods for finding real day trips near me instead of using that little search term, along with the million other people that are getting the same 10 answers that you're getting. You have real-world methods that you can utilize, whether you live in a big city or a small town or just somewhere in between. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please take a minute, hit that subscribe button, leave a review, or share this with someone who might need a little bit of adventure in their life or you think might enjoy the podcast. I really would appreciate it. And remember, adventure isn't always far away. You don't have to go to some tropical island somewhere, although they're beautiful. You don't have to go to a foreign country and take a 14-hour flight, although it's a great trip. Sometimes adventure is just right down the road. So thanks for listening. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, keep exploring like a local and safe travels.